Hi everyone, in this video let's understand about Ind AS 24, related party disclosures. Let's first have an overview of Ind AS 24. It discusses about the objective, scope and purpose of related party disclosure, identification of related party transaction, parties that are not related. Okay, then it also discusses about the disclosure requirements, that is irrespective of related party transaction, what are to be disclosed only when there are related party transactions who all to be disclosed, and then exemption from disclosures to government related entities. So yeah, first let's discuss about the scope of Ind AS 24. This standard has to be applied in identifying the related party relationship, identifying the related party transaction, identifying the outstanding balances between an entity and its related parties, identifying commitments between an entity and its related party, identifying the circumstances in which disclosures of above items are to be made, determining the disclosures to be made about the above items. Okay, so first, identifying, we have to identify 5 things. Okay, first one is related party relationship. Whether there is an relationship, what is a relationship? Either it is a parent and subsidiary, parent and it can be an investor and associate, okay, or a director and its entity. Likewise, okay, identifying related party transaction is whether it is a salary to a KMP or loan advanced by a parent, something like that. Then identifying the outstanding balances. What is the balance as on the balance sheet date with respect to the related party? Identifying the commitment between an entity and its related party, whether it has stood as guarantee for any loan to a subsidiary, whether the parent has stood as a guarantee to any loan which is given to the subsidiary. Identifying the circumstances in which above disclosure have to be made, whether it is like irrespective of the related party transaction I have to make disclosure, or only when there are transactions I have to make disclosure. I have to identify which case it fits into. Okay, determining the disclosures to be made for the above items. There are 6 things which have to be done within the scope of Ind AS 24. Okay, what are disclosures? It has to be made either in the individual financial statements or the consolidated and separate financial statement. Okay, individual financial statements means what? These stand alone financial statements, and consolidated and separate financial statements. Intra-group related party transactions and outstanding balances are eliminated in preparation of CFS, right? Because it is double accounting, right? So those are eliminated. Okay, disclosure is not required when it would be like I am breaching the confidentiality principles. Then disclosure will not be required, or else the disclosure is prohibited by the statute, regulator or similar competent authority to disclose other information. For example, it could be like some insider information could be there that should not be disclosed. Okay, something like that, or else something could be very confidential, like the product mix should be very confidential, so that may not be disclosed. Okay, exception: if above items occurred between an investment entity and subsidiary are measured at FVTPL, then not eliminated, because it is fair value, then it is not eliminated. Now, so what we have understood till now is that what is the scope of Ind AS 24, and then the disclosure which are to be made and which are not to be made. Okay, let's then understand the objective of Ind AS 24. This is to ensure the financial statement contains necessary disclosures with respect to the 4 things we have identified, right? That have to be disclosed. What is the 4 things? Relationship, transactions, outstanding balances, and commitments. Relationship, transaction, outstanding balances, and commitment. Relationship, nature of relationship. Transaction, what are transactions that occurred during the year, okay, or incurred during the year. Outstanding balances, the balance as on 31st March of so and so years. Okay, that is the balance sheet date. And commitment, for example, guarantees, to draw the attention to the possibility that the financial position and profit and loss may have been affected by these transactions. Okay, that could have been affected. Maybe some sales could have been entered with the related parties, right? So to that extent, the profit or loss and the financial position may be affected by the related party relationship and transactions. Now, what is the purpose of related party disclosure? It is probable that the related party relationship may have an effect on the profit or loss or the financial position of the entity. Just now we have discussed, right? The effect gets manifested through transactions that are entered between related parties may not be entered with the unrelated party. For example, I may be a parent, okay, and this is one subsidiary to me. That subsidiary may sell its goods to me at cost, but to unrelated party it may not sell the goods at cost, right? It will have some margin towards it and then sell at a selling price. But I being a parent, it is going to sell me at cost. This is a transaction which are entered between related parties, which may not be entered with the unrelated parties. Transactions with unrelated parties get influenced because of related party relationship. For example, there is a company called as S Limited, subsidiary of H Limited. Okay, in steel manufacturing and to purchase billets from UR Limited, HR Limited acquires 100% stake in FS Limited, who also manufacture billets. Okay, FS Limited is now a fellow subsidiary of S Limited. H Limited instructs S Limited not to purchase the billets from UR Limited but from FS Limited. This is like, okay, I am S Limited. Okay, I'm a subsidiary of H Limited. Okay, for now, I am being S Limited. I'm going to purchase my requirements from UR Limited. What has happened during the year is that H Limited has acquired 100% stake in FS Limited. That company is also manufacturing the similar products which I'm going to purchase from UR Limited. Okay. Now, S Limited and FS Limited are a fellow subsidiaries, right? And both are under common control of H Limited. That's why it's known as fellow subsidiaries. Okay. Now, H Limited orders me that I have to stop purchasing from UR Limited and start purchasing from FS Limited. Okay, these are the transaction which I have entered into UR Limited is being getting influenced, right? Influenced by the related party relationship which I have with the H Limited and FS Limited. Okay, I hope till this we are clear. Now, determining related party of reporting entity. So there are related party have to be determined, right? Who are the related parties to the particular entity? That can be viewed in two angles. This related to some persons and related to some entities. Okay, persons. Who has control or joint control over the reporting entity? If A has invested around 51% stake in ABC Limited, then A has a control over the reporting entity. Okay. Who has significant influence over the reporting entity? If A has invested 27% of stake in ABC Limited, then A has a significant influence over the reporting entity. Who is a member of the key management personnel? For example, he's a director or executive director, whatever it may be, okay, or something like that, okay. CFO or CEO, who is a key management personnel of the reporting entity or the parent of the reporting entity. Okay, see, this could be a case where, okay, okay, let's have Mr. A is a director. Okay, so he is a KMP. Okay, now he may be a director of ABC Limited, which is the reporting entity, or he can be a director of BCD Limited, which is the parent of the reporting entity. Okay, yeah. Who is a member of the key management personnel of Mr. A is a director. He can be he can be covered under related party if he is a director of the reporting entity ABC Limited, or if he is a director of the parent of the reporting entity BCD Limited. I hope it's clear, right? Now, another entities, if they are members of the same group, like we had, right? Here we had S Limited and F Limited in the previous example. Both are fellow subsidiaries, right? So they are members of the same group. Then one entity is an associate or joint venture of the other entity, or a member of the group which the other entity is also a member, associate or joint venture. So then it is a related party. Both entities are joint ventures of same third party. Okay, see, here it is like Mr. A. Mr. A has joint control over ABC Limited and BCD Limited. Okay. Now, ABC Limited and BCD Limited are two separate joint ventures, right? Two separate joint ventures. Now, these two will be termed as related parties. Okay. Now, one entity is a joint venture of third entity, and other entities are associated with the third entity. Like, for example, let's have another example here. Okay. ABC Limited is a joint venturer of BCD Limited. Okay, and okay, joint venture of third entity. Okay, and other entity is associate of the third entity. Okay, and B is okay. So let's have CDE Limited is an associate of BCD Limited. Now, ABC Limited and CDE Limited will be known as related parties. Okay. Now, the entity is a post-employment benefit plan for the benefit of employees of either reporting entity or entity related to a reporting entity. For example, here it could be a trust. Okay, I am having some trust. Okay, which is for particularly for employees. That trust is cleared with the post-employment benefit plan. Okay, that trust will be a related party of the reporting entity. If the reporting entity itself is such a plan, sponsoring employees are also related to the employee. The trustees could be the sponsoring persons, right? That could be a related party. The entity is controlled or jointly controlled by a person if they are members of the same group. Okay. For example, Mr. A. Okay, Mr. A is the promoter of some company, say ABC Limited. Then he has BCD Limited. Then he has a CDE Limited. Okay, all these three companies will now be known as related parties. A related person has a significant influence over the entity or is a member of a key management person. This is quite explanatory, right? Then the entity or a member of a group of which it is a part provides KMP services to the reporting entity or parent of the reporting entity. Some entities there which gives the KMP services. Okay, then that will be known as related party. Now, let's move on to the important definitions. Okay. Before that, we'll revise this once. A person who has a joint control or a control over the reporting entity, who has a significant influence over the reporting entity, who is a member of the key management personnel of the reporting entity or the parent of the reporting entity. Another entities, if they are members of the same group, one entity is associated or joint venture of the other entity or is a member of a group of which the other entity is a member. Both entities are joint ventures of a third party. One entity is a joint venture of third party, and other entity is an associate of third party. The entity is a post-employee benefit plan for the benefit of the employees of either the reporting entity or an entity related to the reporting entity. If the reporting entity itself such a plan or the sponsoring employees are also related to the reporting entity, the entity is controlled or jointly controlled by a person if they are members of the same group. A related person has a significant influence over the entity or is a member of the key management personnel of the entity. The entity or a key any member of a group of which it is a part provides a key management personnel services to the reporting entity or to the parent of the reporting entity. Now, let's move on to the important definition. Control. Control means I have some power or right to the variable returns, or I have some power which may affect the returns. Okay, power over the investee, which is when it is exposed or has the right to variable returns from its involvement with the investee and has the ability to affect those returns. I have some control to give some directions. Okay, then I am having some control. Joint control, contractually agreed sharing of control. Joint control means the sharing of control when only when it is contractually agreed. Okay, when decision about the relevant activities require the unanimous consent of the party sharing the control. For example, I'm taking some key decisions, then unanimous control of consent of both the parties is required. Significant influence, power to participate in the financial and operational decision making of the investee, but is not the control of the policies. Simply speaking, I'm just day-to-day decisions I can make. Then I'm having a significant influence. KMP, persons having authority and responsibility for PDC, that is planning, directing, and control activities of the entity directly or indirectly, including any director. KMP includes any director, whether executive or otherwise. Close members of the family of a person. Close members of a family of a person are those family members who may be expected to influence or be influenced by a person in their dealings with their entity, including that is person's children or spouse or domestic partner, brother, sister, father, mother. Spouse and domestic partner are both same in India. Okay, so don't get confused. Okay, children of that person's spouse or domestic partner, dependents of the person on the person's spouse or the person's domestic partner. No, who will be known as unrelated party? Okay, now that we have understood who are related party, we have to know who are not related party, who are voluntarily excluded from the definition of related party. Okay, two entities generally only they have both common directors. Okay, they don't exercise any control, then they will not be known as related party. Two joint venturers, if they simply share joint control of JV, okay, but they don't have control over the current entity, then they will not be known as unrelated related party. Then providers of finance, trade unions, public utilities, departments and agencies of government, customers, supplier, franchisor, distributor, general agent doing significant business, these party will not be covered under the definition of related parties. Okay, because they have the normal dealing with the entity, although they may affect the freedom of action of the entity, participate in decision making process, but they don't have any control or influence over the decision making. Other than those which are there directly affected, they don't have power with respect to the other decision making. That's why they are known as unrelated parties. Now, disclosure requirements. There's a mandatory disclosure. Okay, this is there only when it is between parent and subsidiaries. Okay, parent and subsidiaries means even though there are no transactions during the year, you have to disclose the name of the parent, and if it is different, like I am subsidiary of ABC Limited. Okay, then I will disclose my parent as the subsidiary name, and right. See, assume ABC Limited is the parent, top parent. Okay, it is a subsidiary known as BCD Limited. I am CDE Limited, so I am subsidiary of ABC Limited, right? So I have to disclose the ultimate controlling party's name and nature of related party relationship, and other requirements stated in Ind AS 27 and 112 will also be followed. Disclosure required only when the related party transactions like combination of KMP and other related party transactions. Okay, for example, KMP, what are the compensation that could be paid? Short-term employee benefits like annual salary, post-employment benefits like gratuity, other long-term benefits, and then termination benefits, share-based payment, the ESOPs, something could be there, right? Related party transactions during the year, the nature of related party and the relationship, okay? And information about the transaction, balances, commitments, okay? Then, because what are the four things I'm going to identify? What is the nature, transaction, balance, and commitments? All four has to be disclosed here. At minimum, what is things I have to disclose is that the transaction, outstanding balances, including the commitments, and the terms and conditions with which I have entered into, and provisions for doubtful debts, expense recognized, and then disclosure shall be made separately for each of the following categories. That is parent, entity with joint control, significant influence, subsidiaries, associate, joint venture, KMP, and other related parties. Provision of KMP services that are provided separate by separate management. The current management is not providing, but separate management is being providing the same. So that has to be disclosed. Okay. Now, for example, the below the transactions are not to be disclosed if they are with a related party. For example, purchase of or sale of goods, purchase or sale of property or any other asset, rendering or receiving some services, leases, research and development transfer, license agreements, finance agreements, and then guarantees, collaterals, commitments. Okay, to do something if a particular event occur or does not occur. It's like executory contracts. Okay, like if something, it's like about conditional contracts. Okay, or like if something occurs, I will do this. If something does not occur, I will do this. That's like commitments. Settlement of liability on behalf of third entity or by the entity on behalf of the related party. So I'm doing on my behalf or behalf of another entity. Okay. Management contracts including deputation of employees. I'm going to allocate some members or I'm going to employ some members for the purpose of your organization. Those will be considered. Okay. This note is very important. Okay. Let's go over it. A related party transaction is the transfer of resources, services, or obligation between a reporting entity and a related party, regardless of whether price is charged. So, whether the consideration is being charged or not, related party transactions have to be disclosed. Okay. If an entity obtains key management personnel services from other entity, the entity is not required to apply the requirements of a compensation paid or payable to management entity to management entity's employees or directors. Self-explanatory. Okay. Next. Related party transactions of similar nature may be disclosed in aggregate by the type of related party except when separate disclosure is necessary. Okay. Okay. I will also explain this point. If an entity obtains a key management person services from another entity, okay, I am getting the key management person services from another entity. So, as management entity, okay. The entity will not be required. What I am paying, I have to disclose. What the other entity is paying to its employees, I will not be disclosing. Okay, clear? Yeah, no. Moving on to the next point. Disclosures that are related party transactions were made on terms equivalent to those prevail in arm's length price are made only if such terms can be substantiated. Okay, if I'm saying something is in arm's length price, that has to be substantiated. Substantiated means that has to be supported with proper evidences. Participation by parent or subsidiary in defined benefit plan that shares the risk between group entities, a transaction between related parties. Okay. Now, moving on to the last thing. That is disclosure requirements for government-related entities. Reporting entities exempt from the disclosure requirement in relation to a related party transaction, outstanding balances, and commitments with a government as a control or joint control or significant influence, or for another entity which government has same control. For example, Tamil Nadu government has control both over the TNEB and the TNSTC, right? State Transport Corporation buses, right? So if there is some transaction between the buses and bus department and the electricity department, such transaction will be exempt from the disclosure. Okay. If a reporting entity applies the exemption, it shall disclose the following: the transfer and related party outstanding balances, and name of the government, nature of government's relationship with the entity, sufficient detail of related party transaction. Like for if it is individually significant transaction about materiality, then it is nature and the amount to be separately disclosed. If it is collectively significant, then the qualitative or quantitative indication of that extent. Reporting entity shall consider the closeness of a related party or other factors relevant in establishing the level of significance of the transaction, just whether it is significant in terms of size or non-market terms, whether it is kind of non-market terms, or it is outside the normal course of business. There is transactions outside the normal course of business, the right? Uh, that is outside the normal day-to-day operations, disclosed to regulatory or supervisory authorities, reported to senior management, which is subject to shareholders' approval. Okay, this note. Government to government or government agencies or similar body within local, national, or international. A government-related entities and entities that's controlled, jointly controlled, or significantly influenced by the government. With this Ind AS 24 standard gets over. I hope everything is being clear to you. Thank you.